Now, democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and, I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action. Now, but wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. Notice that the entire function of our Bill of Rights is to spell out in detail the many ways in which the majority, acting through government, must not be allowed to infringe on the rights of the minority. The First Amendment sets the pace with the words, "Congress shall pass no law." And then the document proceeds to explain that Congress, even though it expresses the will of the majority, shall not deny the minority the right of free exercise of religion, freedom of speech, peaceful assembly, the right to bear arms, and others. Congress shall not. The majority shall not. This is the meaning of a republic.
We are recording. All right, perfect. So we're standing here at 430 Penn Avenue in Wilkinsburg. And this is the McDonald's that the shooting took place at. Right here in front of me, if you come with me, darling, is the parking spot where Todd's car was. If you can see, it's like kind of in line with this right side of this of the window over here. So, to try to run you through exactly what happened, I'm going to try to take the place of both officers. Right now, I'm going to be Officer Duncan. So, Officer Duncan's car pulls up to here, stops about where Todd's taillight, driver's side taillight would be. At this point, he's out of the vehicle. He walks up to Todd's driver's window and reaches in to grab Todd. At this point, Todd pushes his hand away. The car drifts back and taps the police car. Todd then pulls forward. This parking spot right here is wide open. Wide open. Now let's pause. Over on this side is where the SUV was. Sergeant Morrison stays right here the entire time at the tail light of this SUV. with his weapon out while Officer Duncan and Todd are engaging with one another. He never leaves this spot until Todd's vehicle gets out of that parking spot and proceeds down towards Penn Avenue. The vehicle backs up the second time. Duncan's standing in this wide open parking spot, has his weapon out, and shoots Todd from this position. Never during this entire encounter was any officer behind Todd's vehicle or within any immediate danger whatsoever. Remaining in this parking spot, how can Todd hit me unless he trains his vehicle in this direction? But that's not what the police reports state. The police reports state that the officers were behind the vehicle and Todd was attempting to run them down. However, if you look over here on the get-go, if you look right above where that pendant light is, up to the right, there's a camera that captures the whole incident. From that point, that vantage point there, you can see the whole encounter take place. But don't you know that for 4 years and 7 months, they don't even want to admit that it exists. And they don't produce this video until July 16th of 2023. This incident happened April 24th, 2017. So, now, after Todd finally gets out of this parking spot, as the officer already shot him, he flees out of the parking lot. This is the time where Sergeant Morrison comes out from behind the SUV and joins Officer Duncan in shooting at Todd's vehicle as it's exiting the parking lot through the entrance side to McDonald's, where it says entrance. That's where Todd leaves from. He goes out there and goes down Penn Avenue. Now, they're shooting. One, Sergeant Morrison's round goes into the trunk. Duncan's round skips off of Todd's roof and into a shed that's behind that white vinyl fence over there. Now, just imagine if these officers would have missed. It's 5:30 in the morning in April. Look how busy this street is. If he misses and it hits a kid, or if it hits a pedestrian, if it hits somebody in their car, this is why you don't do stupid shit in public parking or in public areas, especially without backup. Now, just the two of them is one thing, but imagine if they would have actually called the city units, which are right down there, or Edgewood or Swissville, which is right over there, and they would have swarmed him. There would have been no encounter. There would have been nothing. And if they would have approached it a little differently, like, hey man, hey look, sorry this is super inconvenient, but we ended up finding out you have a parole warrant. Instead, you reach in the window and you say, get out of the car, motherfucker. Like, why would you approach anybody like that? Now, if you listened to the 911 audio that was on the news clip, it says shots fired, male actors fleeing in a black Hyundai. It looks like he's turning down Brushton. Now, Brushton is just 3 lights away from here. So what my question is what takes 4 minutes and 10 seconds when you have emergency lights to get to Brushton? Which we don't have emergency lights, but you're about to see that it's going to take us about a minute to get to Brushton. So maybe not. Maybe it'll be like 30 seconds because we're almost there now. We're passing Trenton right now. I think Brushton's 2 more streets up. So you have police officers that are giving chase to an individual, and then 4 minutes and 10 seconds later, that's a lot of time passed. Here's Brushton right here, right where they're turning. So what happens is Todd tries to make this turn right here. As he's making this right-hand turn on the Brushton, he crashes into this telephone pole right here. He crashes into that telephone pole. He gets out of his car and starts running down here along the side of Family Dollar, and then he makes a left into this alley right here. So 4 minutes and 10 seconds. So Todd makes his way into this alley right here, which is behind Family Dollar, corner of Brushton and Penn Avenue. He runs down the street. He gets to here, this bush, this exact bush, and he falls into the bush. He faints. So when he got to here, he was like this, into the bush, like in there, in the bush, laying down. The officers were right behind him. Remember, they just shot his car, and then they immediately jump into their vehicles and blow down the road. But they tell county dispatch that it looks like he turned onto Brushton. Now, at this point, I argued that they already knew that the vehicle crashed into the telephone pole, and that both of them get here, and they find Todd, because they followed his blood from the crash scene to here, because he was bleeding that bad. It had hit an artery, because he got shot in the chest. Because remember, the officers weren't behind his vehicle, so, or they were behind, if they were behind his vehicle, how did they shoot him in the chest? Doesn't make sense, right? If you're behind someone's vehicle, you can't shoot them in the chest, unless you have like go-go gadget arms that can like reach up and around the car and shoot him in the chest, you see? So, Todd's back here, he's laying in the bush bleeding out, the officers get right on top of him. They're here, and he's passed out inside of this thing. They yank him out, and they go, shit. Well, what do we do now? 4 minutes and 10 seconds passed from the time that they called in and said there were shots fired till the time they find him here. It's only a 30-second drive. So they weren't looking for him for 3 or 4 minutes. They were here with him, and they didn't know if he was going to die or not. So when county calls back, they said, did the actor discharge the weapon? And they said, no, that was us. He tried to run us over. They justified the shooting immediately in the event that Todd died. However, he doesn't die. So what's their next move is to put him in jail and leave him there. Not let him have the evidence that could exonerate him. And they keep the evidence from him the entire time. And they do a bunch of other little trickery shit along the way. But this is where Todd laid, right in this bush. Shot in the chest. And if you can't tell by now, for no damn reason, but we'll get further into detail as we go along. Did Todd have a gun? No. Was it sitting on the driver's seat? No. Passenger seat? No. Dashboard? No. Was there a gun in fucking view whatsoever to these officers? No. It's not mentioned anywhere in any document whatsoever. What they say is when they obtained a search warrant, they found a pistol underneath the seat inside of a bag. The passenger seat at that, in the borrowed vehicle. I'm just saying. Now, if Todd was waving a pistol around, pointing it at the cops, I wouldn't be making this video, making myself look like a fucking retard. So there's nothing that we're withholding from you that is going to sneak up on you and be like, well, it makes sense now why they shot him, or it makes sense why they responded the way that they did. Because that's what I was looking for the whole time. My brain works in such a way to where I am looking for the loophole. That was what interested me in this so much, is that there isn't a loophole. What they did was just wrong, and they lied about it. What do you mean they lied about it? I'm going to show you how they lied about it, and I'm going to show you how they went about covering up the whole situation. Here's one piece right here. Check this out.
This is a prepaid debit call from
Todd Robinson.
an inmate from the Allegheny County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Toddy Mac, you back?
Yeah, I'm back, man.
So I wanted to see, I also read those transcripts and I have those transcripts from the interview that took place 16 days after the incident with Allegheny County detectives and Officer Duncan and Sergeant Morrison. And when I was reading them, I wanted to see if you got the same interpretation as I did, is that Officer Duncan nor Sergeant Morrison put themselves behind the vehicle ever in there, in that interview, until the...
Not at all.
At the end, it almost seems like the county detective implies that their lives were in danger and gets them to agree with him. Am I accurate by saying that?
Exactly. When you start to look at the transcripts, right? Christopher Duncan, the officer that shot me, he gives his whole story. He fired 2 shots. One from the front side of the vehicle, right? The second was at the back of my vehicle. It hit the roof of the car. And this is as I'm exiting out of the parking lot. So
Let me help you out here.
But after he tells these stories, right? He tells about the shots. And then afterwards, the detective says, well, wait a minute. So where were you at the second time that the vehicle came in reverse? Oh, I was inches away from the car. So you was almost struck by the vehicle. You can't tell the man that he was almost struck by the vehicle. He never said he was almost struck by the vehicle, but they knew at that point that they didn't have anything.
Right, and that's leading a witness. So...
Exactly. He said that the reason why he discharged his firearm is because I went into the vehicle the second time. The second time that I went into the vehicle, the officer said that he feared for his life. He unholstered his firearm and fired a shot at the driver's side window. And it's so crazy because within the last 6 years that I've been here, almost 6.5 years, not one expert has talked about. But if I show you my room, it's immediate question of how did the bullet enter here and was able to travel into your chest? Because it never came out. But these are the things that can't be talked about because then it places the officer in the front side of my vehicle and not behind.
Exactly. And the other officer was far away. Per his own admission.
He admits in his statement that he was a full parking spot away at the corner of the SUV observing.
So after you hit the police car the second time to get away from the situation, and you're going across the parking lot, do you hear any more gunshots?
I hear twice, two gunshots. One was from Matthew Morrison that went into the trunk of the vehicle. The trajectory rod, when the officers put him in, it sticks straight back, saying that I was in flight away from the officers when he discharged his firearm. The second shot was from Duncan. And but he's sitting on tape, chasing behind a car, fired a shot at the back of my vehicle as an accident. That one's on tape.
And you were being charged by Allegheny County Police. And the affiant's name, what was his name? The guy who was filing charges on you, Detective.
The affiant is Detective Todd and Detective Thomas Foley. Both of those officers took those statements, right? Knowing that it didn't match the reports. And that the reports were fraudulent, and stayed quiet, stayed silent. Then put Nancy Morrison on the stand to correct his eyewitness account by putting himself behind a car. So he can be spared to commit perjury. Nobody's going to address this.
All right, and these aren't just us talking. This is stuff that's in transcripts.
Everything is in black and white. Every single thing that has happened is in black and white. Everything. The struggle to get the videos. Their eyewitnesses' account that doesn't match the affidavit of probable cause. The probable cause for discharging the firearms.
So what ends up going down is after they shoot Todd, after they shoot him, and then they shoot at his car, trying to kill him as he's leaving. They tried to kill him. And it seems like people only get pissed off when people die, not when they're alive. If he was dead, it'd be a whole different story. But since he's alive, he's been sitting down in jail for 6 years, 5 months, and 15 days today. And everybody just keeps walking away from him. They're just Nobody is doing shit because everybody is too busy with their own fucking lives and everything that they have going on with their own shit. And then you're just letting things like this happen as if there's nothing that we can do about it.